Happy Independence Day, Athletic Alert fans. 240 years ago, America declared its independence from Britain. Today, Kevin Durant declares his independence from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Kevin Durant, KD, has signed with the Golden State Warriors. A big shock. For 2 years, $54 million. There is a player option for the first year. This is a big deal that sent a shockwave throughout the NBA world, the social media world, and especially a shock in the Oklahoma City Thunder area.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a big deal, for us. It took us so much by surprise. Got a little lightheaded, so we had to move the studio to some nice, comfortable couches just so we could get through this update, okay? We broke down this signing into four main parts, me and Rob did, and we're going to go through each one by one, and it really breaks down the entire KD signing, what it's going to impact, and how this actually happened. So we're going to start out with location, all right? Kevin Durant is going to move from Oklahoma City in Oklahoma, and he's going to go to Golden State, which is in California.
Right.
In this sense, I guess this is a good move for KD in terms of location because he's moving to a place that is a more popular area, a lot more NBA fans, a lot more sports fans in general because they have so many teams in California. So for his sake, for his fame, personal fame, he's going to be selling tons of more jerseys, more shoes, all kinds of stuff. And so I guess in that sense he did win.
But he's also leaving a fan base that has gone through so much, with the constant tornadoes and the traumatic weather that happens in Oklahoma City, that
True.
The fans depend on him, like the whole organization that he's established there. He's leaving all that behind for a whole new place. I mean, California, obviously, they do have different scenarios that happen, but Oklahoma City is where, they count on him, and now he's just leaving them behind in the dust.
Absolutely. I think the Oklahoma fans were so loyal to him, and he's losing them. Now, it's going to help his own fame, but like you said, what he's leaving behind is really disappointing. Like, for an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, I mean, this is really disappointing. When I first heard about the news, I was completely shocked. I was probably 75% sure about that KD was coming back to the Thunder. I mean, he was just so great there. And he doesn't seem like one of those guys that's going to bandwagon on a team that made it to the finals. That was the team that beat them this year in the playoffs. I mean, why would he go join them? But, his decision, not ours. So let's move to the second one, which is simply the impact of KD. How does KD going to Golden State affect the Warriors, and how does KD leaving the Thunder affect the Thunder for this upcoming 2016-2017 NBA season? So let's start with the Thunder, all right?
Yeah.
All I'm going to say about the Thunder is the dog is now off its leash, okay? Russell Westbrook is now the one sole stud in Oklahoma City. Last year, he averaged 23.5 points per game, 10.4 assists, and 7.8 rebounds. That's with Kevin Durant.
Right.
You take away Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook could easily average a triple-double this season.
Yeah, he'd be one of the few players ever to average a triple-double for the entire season. I agree with you that Kevin Durant not being there will help him, but where are the assists going to come from? I mean, you got Victor Oladipo. I mean, that's basically the only good guy that's left on the team because they just traded for him. They don't have Serge Ibaka anymore, so Steven Adams is there, but who is he gonna pass the ball to? Don't get me wrong, he's one of the best point guards, if not the best point guards in the NBA. But where's he gonna get the assists from? It's gonna be a whole different game style in Oklahoma City.
True, absolutely. I mean, he will have Oladipo, he will have like Dion Waiters, he'll have this new pick, Domantas Sabonis. But like you said, he's not gonna have a guy like KD. So if he wants to average a triple-double, hopefully win an MVP, the only tough category he's going to have to maintain is going to be those assist numbers.
Right.
Everything else, though, will probably go up. I mean, he's a freak of nature, and the only one that was holding him back was KD. Now that he's gone, I mean, he's free to do what he wants. So now for Golden State. Kevin Durant comes into an organization that already has what you could call a big three, a stud three, with Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green.
Right.
Curry averaged almost 30 points per game last year, Thompson 22 points per game, and Green 14 points per game. Now personally, and I'll ask this question to you, personally, I think KD coming in is going to lower some of those guys' stats, lower their numbers, because in all essence, I say this all the time, there's not enough shot attempts to go around in one game. You can't just boost shot attempts. You bring in another stud. Are these players going to, obviously the team will be great, but are their individual stats going to go down?
Yes, and you can see that in the Kevin Love going to Cleveland. He was the guy in Minnesota, and when he joined Cleveland, obviously he put up great numbers, but they weren't the same as he was alone in Minnesota. Kevin Durant going to Golden State. He won't be the only guy, obviously. Curry's going to get the most points. Clay. Those are going to be the two main guys. But they are missing that one position. Now they fulfilled it, but they were missing that one guy, and Harrison Barnes was that guy. Now it's Kevin Durant, who averages more of those points. I think the points are going to be spread out evenly now. I think you'll see Curry's numbers go down a little bit, believe it or not. And Draymond will be less of a factor, in my opinion, because I think that out of the big three that they had before KD came, Draymond was the least effective out of that. And now that you're going to see Kevin Durant there, I see Draymond turning into the Kevin Love of Cleveland.
Interesting. That's a bold prediction. We'll have to see what happens. That'll be definitely interesting to see.
Right.
All right, so let's move to the third thing. How did this happen? And you're probably out there saying, the Warriors have these three studs, let alone they still have Andre Iguodala and other people like that. How did they end up signing KD? Like, this money can't be right. Here's how it happened. We talked about in our last video, if you want to go take a look at it, that they just increased the salary cap.
Right.
So, for most teams in the NBA, the salary cap is going to jump to about $90 million. For this upcoming season, the Golden State Warriors had 75 of that $90 million committed to players, which leaves them with $15 million to bring someone in. And we talked about in the last episode, a decent player will probably get $18 million a year now. That's not what they're going to give KD. He's an all-star. So how did they make money? Well, first off, the reason they only have $75 million committed is because Curry's only going to make $11.3 million this year.
Wow.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, Curry is one of the best players in the league, and the Golden State Warriors have him on such a friendly contract for them. It's unbelievable. And so how are they going to make room? Because Kevin Durant obviously is not taking $15 million a year. It's not going to happen. So what they did was they traded Andrew Bogut. Andrew Bogut's supposed to make close to $13 million this year. They trade him to the Mavs so that they have $27 million in space for Durant. So, for all you, Warriors haters now, you can hate on Mark Cuban for letting this happen. But, no, I mean, that's the reason they got this money to sign him was from Bogut, because he was making so much. And the Mavs also signed Harrison Barnes, so they get a pair of Golden State Warriors now on their team.
Yeah, so obviously the Warriors got a big steal in this, There was a comparison, I don't know which player it was. I think it was Timofey Mozgov, who we mentioned in our last video, between his contract and Stephen Curry's contract. Timofey is making more money than Curry, which is ridiculous. So, as Colin said, that is obviously one of the big reasons why they're able to bring in Kevin Durant. Andrew Bogut, him going to the Mavericks leaves them with a big hole at the center. As you're about to mention, they only have Anderson Varejao, and who is the other center they have?
They have Anderson Varejao now on the roster, and the only other center they have is Maurice Spates. Just those two.
And I heard that they were also trying to get rid of Festus Ezeli.
Right,
so,
he's a free agent.
Right, so there are going to be guys that were on this team that made a difference last year who won't be on the team. So they have other holes to fill. But that starting four right there is huge, but they're missing that one more guy.
Right, exactly. And that's the last thing we're going to talk about. So that third spot was the money, how it worked. Now the final spot, now with this, big four, you got Curry, Thompson, Green, and KD. No matter who they throw at the center position, you can argue that is the best five in the NBA, best starting lineup.
Yeah.
Before this deal, I would have said it was the Pacers, but now the Warriors passed them. You might think, how the heck is any team going to beat the Warriors? How? I mean, it makes no sense. We're here to tell you there is a hole in the Warriors, and it's what we just mentioned. It is that center position. They only have on the roster, like we said, Maurice Spates and Anderson Varejao. Maurice Spates last season averaged 3.3 rebounds, and Anderson Varejao averaged 2.7 rebounds. The centers that they're losing, they traded Andrew Bogut, and Festus Ezeli is a free agent. Bogut averaged 7 rebounds a game, Ezeli 5.6. You're talking almost 13, 14 rebounds a game that are gone, okay? even though they might not have made a splash in the point column, these guys were their key rebounders to get the ball to Curry, to get the ball to Thompson. Now you're looking at your top rebounders being Draymond Green, who we know can do it,
Right.
but he's only 6'7", and KD is 6'9", although I think he's a little bit taller than that.
Yeah.
However, if they have to slide in Maurice Spates, who is a stretch 5 guy, more of an outside shooter
Right.
than more of a center, or Anderson Varejao, that center position is going to get dominated by where they are. In the Western Conference, let me just give you a list of some of the centers and power forwards that are out there. LaMarcus Aldridge, San Antonio. DeAndre Jordan on the Clippers. The combination of Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph on the Grizzlies. DeMarcus Cousins on the Kings. Anthony Davis on the Pelicans. Karl Anthony Towns in Minnesota. Who's going to cover him? Anderson Varejao? It's not going to happen. I mean, that is the one place where they can attack. For all those NBA teams, I guess the way they should go is to protect perimeter shots. And then, because if they protect Golden State's perimeter shots, they can't feed it down low because who they have isn't reliable, right?
No, right. And it's going to be tough for the Warriors, I think, a little bit at first to figure out what they're going to do there. So don't be surprised if in the first 10 games the Warriors lose, 5 games or whatever, because they're going to be figuring out what to do and how to handle other teams. But as the season goes on, I feel like Steve Kerr is going to have a plan figured out. Maybe they'll bring in a veteran free agent, maybe a little bit within the season to figure out that one guy that belongs down there. I mean, look at this. Kevin Durant had a decision to make. He could have gone to a team where they could have had another big four in the LA Clippers with DeAndre Jordan, who we just mentioned, down at the 4, Chris Paul, and Blake Griffin. 2 big guys, and he would have been that one piece. But he turned them down. There was a reason why he went to that team. He also could have gone to the Spurs, where they have LaMarcus Aldridge and Kawhi Leonard and Tony Parker. There's a reason why he didn't go to that team. There was obviously something that convinced Kevin Durant that says that they told him it's going to be okay. It might be a little rough at first, but we're going to figure this out, and you will win multiple championships here. That there's something that the coaches told him that convinced him that 5th hole, that big hole right there, is not going to affect them tremendously, but maybe a little bit. But convince him enough to come and stay in Golden State.
Right, and it'll be interesting to see if that plan that they were promising him works out, and how the other teams in the NBA are going to handle this big move. And like we mentioned, I mean, this is a team now that's going to be like the Cleveland Cavaliers, bringing in a star. How are they going to gel? That's the big thing. Is the team going to gel? And if they do gel, this could be a nightmare. But if not, well, maybe somebody else can beat them up. But it's going to take nitpicking and finding the holes in this team, which right now, it is hard to find.
And before we go, I just want to say something about, this leaves possibilities for other free agents. They were debating on whether they can go to a team or not, depending on the amount of money. Kevin Durant to Miami. Well, that didn't happen, so Dwayne Wade can possibly come back for the max contract. Or maybe does he go to Cleveland? They got a big 4 out in Golden State. Maybe we create a big 4 in Cleveland. Maybe he does that. So there's so many possibilities. With OKC now, Russell Westbrook, is he going to sign the contract extension? I just read an article. If he doesn't, they're going to trade him away, OKC. They're going to trade Russell Westbrook away if he does not sign a contract extension. So is this the beginning of the end for OKC? Is this the beginning of a bright future for the Golden State Warriors? We'll have to find out.
Yep, creating a gigantic ripple effect across every part of the NBA, free agency, the rest of free agency this year, and for years to come.
And that's going to do it for our Durant's Decision special on this 4th of July.
Yep, because it's the 4th of July, we just want to say, from all of us here at the Athletic Alert crew, we want to thank our armed forces, all the men and women who help keep this country safe and free. We hope everyone out there has a great 4th of July, and that's going to do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we will see you all next time. Like, comment, and subscribe.